And good afternoon. Uh, so we're going to be talking today about what's new in Vantagepoint 5.5. And I'm your presenter. My name is Adam Chilton. I'm an application consultant here at Aktion in the AES division. I was involved in the 5.5 early adoption program, the early testing program. So I did get to test out a lot of these new functions. I'm currently involved in the 6.0 as well, so it never stops, right? There's always more enhancements coming, and those tests are underway. I'm a Vantagepoint trainer and a project manager. That's my mugshot to the left side there, if you can imagine it, with a little more gray hair in the beard and maybe a little less hair on top of the head. That's kind of what I currently look like. We're going to talk about our agenda today. Some of the most exciting features, I like to put them at the very beginning, some of the things that really excite me about 5.5. You can now create dependency relationships. So if you're using the planning module, you can create those dependencies between your phases and your task. You can actually see what the critical path now is going to be in your plans, and I'm going to demo that to you as well. So very excited about that. There are actually lots of dashboard improvements as well, as far as who can create dashboards and some of the functionality of dashboards. So that will also be a live demo, or we'll create some personal dashboards. There were quite a few movements in the purchasing requisitions that's now moved over to the web browser. So we'll look at a little bit of purchasing, what's moved and what's new there. And there's also some mobile CRM and T&E improvements as well. Some of the look of the program has changed and some of the functionality. Then we'll finish with usability improvements, some of the overall design changes that have been made in the system. And then we'll finish up with Q&A. So that is our agenda for today's session. And we're going to start with those dependency relationships. So if you are using that resource planning module, you can now break down those dependencies in the work breakdown structure, right? You can time those elements of when things happen and when things need to happen. You can add things like lead and lag time between your critical dependencies. Right, so it's really kind of an empowered project management tool that really helps you understand quickly in a visual medium, what tasks have to occur and what the timing now is, which I think is a great improvement from the project management side. The other thing I like is that as you schedule these updates or as you move these things around, you'll see the program automatically adjust based on the dependencies that you've made. So it can move those phases and tasks around for you, which is great. I want to show you just a very quick example of what that looks like. And this is the schedule and the resource planning. And this probably looks pretty similar to you if you've already seen it, but it now has, when you add a resource dependency or add a dependency to the schedule, it adds this gold connector between the lines, and you can actually determine the flow of the relationship, which way, if a program has to start before the next one ends, and you can time that critical path now, which is pretty amazing. You can see in this one, it's a fairly linear path starting from the overall kind of controlling phase there and moving down to the end from the predecessor all the way down to the successors at the end. There are multiple ways to do this. They did give you a lot of choice if you want to create those dependencies in the schedule. So I want to show you all the ways that you can do this. And the first one, you can actually just draw arrows between the Gantt chart, between the bars on the Gantt chart. So once you have the plan checked out, you'll have these arrows on the side of each phase and task, and you can literally just click and drag one arrow to the other. That is the easiest way, in my opinion, to create a dependency, and that's really just a kind of a start-end dependency. In this example, this design development phase, once it ends, I can now begin schematic design. That's the dependency that I'm drawing, and it even tells you as you hover over which is the end and which is the start. Right, so it's kind of a just again a very quick graphic way of doing that, and that's something we'll do during the demo. Another way you can do this is the dependency details box. So if you double click any of the phases or tasks, it will open a dependency details box. And you can do this in a little more manual way where you designate who the predecessor is, you designate who the successor is, and what type of relationship they have, whether it's finish to start, which is the relationship I just showed you, or start to start if they need to both start at the same time. You can also add in lag and lead time. And you can also delete dependencies from here, which I will show you. The final way, you can use the predecessor column. So they've added a new column in the grid layout, and you can actually just type the column name. So in this example, 1.3 determines when 1.1 starts, right? So I've added 1.3, this number, into the design development field to show the dependency there. Just another way, instead of drawing a line or opening the box, you do have the predecessor column now as well. So let's kind of see what this looks like. Let's go into the demo here, and I'm going to switch over to a 5.5 demo environment of Vantagepoint, and let's kind of look at it. So this is my 5.5 demo environment, and I'm using just a test project here for Wellington Consulting Engagement, and I am under the project's hub. I'm under the plan, and I'm looking at their schedule. I'm going to collapse the navigation menu so we have a little more room to see. I do want to show you it does have the predecessor column now, so that is a by default column. I'm going to move this over so you can see just a little bit more. And then I have my, my project level, my work breakdown structure with phases and tasks. Right? If I want to create a dependency, the first thing I have to do, check out the plan. So I'm just going to blink my cursor here where I want you to see at the checkout button. Once I do that, it now adds these arrows. So I've got the arrows at the end of each one of these phases, right? Beginning and end of each one phase. I can now take that arrow and just drag and drop where I want it to go. I don't want to do a start one. Let's do an end one. So, again, I'm working on a small screen here. I'm going to do this one. So my kickoff, whoop, change my dependency there. Oh, if I can get it to take it. See if it'll grab any one of these. Huh. So I need to draw it this way. Apologize. There we go. I was trying to draw it from the top phase, and I need to draw it from the task to the task underneath the phase. That's what was happening. So I've got my kickoff phase now, or kickoff task, is I'm now telling it there's a dependency there from the end of kickoff is when I can start research. Right. So this is my critical path. I've got it from here to here. That was one I just used the arrows to draw it. If I want to delete that, the easiest way to do it, double click your whichever phase. Maybe this one. Well, sorry, I'm on a small screen here and it's not letting me double click. But you double click it to open the details box. Let's see if I can get it here. Keeps trying to move it. There we go. Man, sorry, I'm working on a laptop screen and it's trying to move it around, but here's my dependency details box. To delete these, you can scroll over the line at the bottom. It's going to add the X, right? You can also add these manually. That was the second way that we kind of discussed. If I open the details box, I double click one of those and I click add predecessor. It opens the next line where I can choose whatever the available predecessor is. So in this case, analysis. And then I want my successor to be research, and then I can choose the relationship if I want it finish to start or start to start, meaning they would both start at the same time, right? Or finish to finish, meaning they both need to finish at the same time, or both need to be finished at the same time. I can choose my lag and lead time. So this is in days. So lag and lead, lag would be days or time in between when they need to start. Lead would be time that they overlap. So if they could overlap by 6 days, I would do the minus 6 days. Right? And I can do that dependency there. The other way I could do it, or the third way, I've got drag and drop, I've got my details box. The other way I could do it, I can type the predecessor line into the predecessor column. That's the third way. I typically like the drag and drop method the most, but I also like the dialog box. There you go. And I don't know why I was having trouble pulling up that dialog box earlier. My mouse is a little shaky there. But again, to delete those, you just click on the X. Or the other way you can do it, actually, I'm just going to apply that one. The other way you can do it, you can delete these from the predecessor box as well. So if I go in and just manually delete the number, it also deletes it. I don't know if you were able to see, but when I added in that lag and lead time, it actually did move the project out, right? So it took that into account. Let's see if I can. There we go. It's a little better. Now I can draw my one there as well. All right, and I'm going to move that project out a little bit. And again, it's adjusting the rest of my times based on my dependency schedule there. All right, so potentially very powerful project management tool if you have critical paths that have a timing requirement to them, really between the phases and the work breakdown structure. You do have the ability to add those now, which I think can save quite a bit of time, and graphically it's a very quick representation of the path that the project needs to take, right? So I do like that they've chosen to expand this tool quite a bit. I'm going to switch back over to the PowerPoint now. Again, we'll take any kind of questions you have. You can add those to the chat, and we will certainly address them in the Q&A section after the presentation's over. One of the other big changes they have made in 5.5 is with dashboards. They've brought back some, I'm going to call these fan favorite features with dashboards, and I think they've made some really good improvements here. So one of the biggest ones is now you can drill to another table or chart from a dashboard. You can do it within the dashboard itself. And I do want to show you that one. We will demo that one in just a moment. The information that you can leak, it depends on the available table or charts from the dashboard library. And they've also changed the access to the dashboards library. So we'll look at that coming up as well, right? This is just a very quick view of how to add a drill down dash part to a dashboard. What they've done is when you edit the dash part designer, they've added a drill to column now. And when you select the drill to column, it allows you to select a dash part to drill by. One of my favorite features here is it also has the filter drill to dash part. So you can keep your filter settings on your dash part designer. So in this example, I had it filtered by a PM search for a specific PM. I was able to keep that filter on my dashboard as well. So I do like that. They do have very specific ways that they can drill though. They do have chart to chart, chart to table, table to table, or table to chart. And I'll show you those during the demo. Access rights for dashboards also did change just a little bit. The role-based access rights are now applied to dash parts. So in this role, I can choose what dash parts the role is allowed to see. Right? You do still have the checkbox. You can give full access to all dash parts, or you can select. These would be built out by the admin, and then selectable by role. I'll show you how to configure those as well. And then you do also have personal dashboards now. That was kind of the one that a lot of people were looking for. I know there was a lot of requests for. They have added that in 5.5. We'll show you where in dashboards you can add the ability for someone to save personal dashboards, or they can save them for all roles, or they have no dashboard availability. If you do give them the personal dashboard, it basically gives them now this checkbox where they can add a personal dashboard when they create dashboards. So let's kind of look at that. I'm going to switch over back to Vantagepoint and let's look at dashboards. In the Dashboards hub, I'm going to look at the billing review dashboard here. And these are some dashboards that I created earlier. I can tell that these are drillable dashboards, meaning that I can drill down further and get more information to them. They have this new icon now, and it looks kind of like a little drill icon. It'll be up in the corner, in the left-hand corner, that tells you it is a drillable dashboard. And if you scroll over the component within the dashboard, it will tell you that it is a drill to dashboard. So in this one, I'm looking at build plus unbilled versus contract, but I can drill down to contract versus actual if I want to. So as I scroll over this column, I'm just going to click it and it will open up my drill part that will show me contract versus actual. And this one, of course, is a chart, but there are different drill down dashboards I can add. So to do that, to add a drillable dashboard, I'm going to go to edit mode on my dashboard, and I'm going to edit that dashboard. And this is the new column, drill to. And for here, I'm just adding it to the build amount column. That was my main column. And I'm selecting the different drill to dashboards. All right, and some of these, of course, are not gonna necessarily apply, but I'm gonna do AR aging. That'll give us a table versus a chart. And I kind of like that it even tells you what kind of part it's going to be, if it's a chart or a table. And again, I can choose if I want to include the filter or not. Save it. It does give me a list of where this dashboard's being used. Again, very helpful. Once it refreshes the data, now if I scroll over, it's drill to dashboard AR aging. And here's my AR aging list or table. So very neat dashboard there, very neat function there, allows you to really get some deep business insight very quickly by adding a certain type of drillable dashboard. The other functions here, you can save personal dashboards, and I already have it turned on for mine. But to save a personal dashboard, when you hit the edit, new dashboard, you now have the ability to check that box and add a personal dashboard. It only adds it for you. I added one earlier, and it adds it to the bottom, toward the bottom. You'll have a new tab that says personal, and then that'll be your dashboards that only you can see, only you can use. Some of the security around creating these new dash parts or using these new dash parts on security and on the role itself, there is a new field here that says dashboards and dash parts. And this is what controls the ability to save personal, save for all roles or none. And then under access rights, you do have the ability to restrict what access in dash parts. You do have the ability to restrict which dash parts this role has the ability to see. All right, this one currently has full access to all dash parts, but as the admin, I can choose what dash parts I want them to have access to. So if you do give them the ability to make personal dash parts, you can still restrict which dash parts they can use. Okay. So dashboards, a lot of functionality there, a lot of good functionality that has come back. I think a lot of functionality that people have requested, and I'm glad Deltec listened and brought that back. Purchasing, if you are using purchasing modules, they did move some of the purchasing into the web application from the desktop, specifically purchasing requisitions. You do have to enable it in the web UI to be able to see purchasing requisitions if you have the purchasing module. So you do have to go to settings, general, and modules and check this flag. And that will allow you to use it from the front end of the application. You no longer have to go to the desktop. That seems to be a trend of you follow the trend of things moving from the desktop into the web UI, which I think is a good thing. I like it that's all in one place. This is just kind of a general overview of how the new purchasing requisitions tab works. And really, once you open it from the web UI, you just click on the general tab, you would enter your information that you would do from the desktop as well. Now though, when you click the need price quote button, it opens the suggested vendor line down below. So you can have your preferred or suggested vendors linked to the price quote, which I think is quite helpful. From that same screen, you can go to the default vendors tab and you can actually add default vendors for this requisition. So you'd click default vendor, add default vendor, and then put in the information. And now for that item type, this is going to be my preferred vendor. Again, all done from the web UI. Okay. There were also several improvements to mobile CRM and time and expense. So I do want to show you those. I've got some really good captures of the improvements that have been made. One of the clearest examples of what's been changed is in the CRM, they've changed all the icons. It's no longer just a kind of a word menu. You now have a navigation menu with graphical icons for the menu links, so you can kind of see a little better what each one does. And then they've actually made that consistent across time and expense as well. You do still have the notifications on the line item as well in time and expense, which I really like. So if you're someone that does approvals this way, you still see all your approvals through T&E. But they did update the graphical icons, made it just a more consistent and more usable experience there. And then they've also done quite a bit of change to the date navigation and the edit line screen. So what they did is they added this carousel. Now, these date carousels at the top, it's a lot less clicks than it used to be to go through the old calendaring method. So it's actually quite a bit faster to enter lines and edit lines. It will still give you errors if you're entering a timesheet, for example, that doesn't have all the required fields in it. It will tell you what the error is. I also like that if you click that, it will take you down to the error now. It will move you to the error and you get redirected to the field that needs the attention. So again, very helpful there. I think that process has streamlined quite a bit over these last few iterations. You can also navigate to a different timesheet now using this list icon. You do have to have different timesheets available, but you have the list icon and it's the same as the list view in Vantagepoint, same icon. When you click on that, it will open up the project selection window and it gives you all the projects you can select from to add that line item to your timesheet. So that's new as well. Another improvement I think they've made to the timesheets, they now have the edit timesheet line, the done and add new line. So you can enter all your information on one line, you hit done, it automatically opens the next line and gets you going. Again, the process for adding these between the time carousel, the new error messaging, and the done and add new line, I think saves quite a bit of time. I think it makes that application much more usable. T&E, again, using the same thing with the time carousel. You do have the ability to add projects, and you do also have the ability to add the project screens as well. Excuse me. Some of the other just kind of quality of life functions that they have added in 5.5. You've got the save and cancel buttons have now been moved into the title bar. So they are up here in kind of the top of all the screens now, of all these hubs. They were at different places on different applications, depending on if you were editing or just kind of looking at the hub. Now they've kind of made those a uniform location up in the top right of the title bar. So if you don't see your save button in the place you expect it, it may be up at the top right in the title bar. That's where I would look now. And here's just a very quick list of the hubs that were affected. Now, one of the other things I like, they added a favorites tab to the navigation menu. So now you have the ability to, when you scroll over something in your navigation menu, especially if you have a very long navigation menu like the one I just showed, you can add these favorites. You'll see a star appear to the side. You click the star. And then when you click on this star tab, now every hub that you have starred will appear there. So it basically makes a condensed list of the hubs that you use more often. So if you're an administrator and you have lots of hubs in there, but there's only certain hubs that you use every day, you can now add those to a favorites tab. Again, just time-saving measure there, quality of life improvement. So I know that was just a quick overview of some of the features, but like I said, I do really like the scheduled dependencies. I think that's a very useful feature for project managers and for managing the critical path of your project. I do like all the graphical improvements that have been made, purchasing, and also dashboards. I think dashboards are much more user-friendly now, company-wide, versus having to be rolled out by the administrator. So I'm going to switch to the Q&A portion now, and I want to know, what questions do you have for me?
Yes. Hi, Adam. Great job. We had a nice chunk of questions come in. The first one was earlier in the session. The question was, can you type in the duration and change scale or duration to be weeks rather than business days?
It sounds like you're talking about lag and lead, and that one currently you cannot change the scale. It's in days. Yeah, if you're using the lag and lead function, it is only days at the moment.
Okay. The next question is, will the dashboard options be automatically turned on after 5.5 upgrade, or will I need to turn on in security first?
Well, the dashboard options, if you want people to have personal dashboards, to be able to save personal dashboards, you will have to add that to the role. Otherwise, I don't think it should change your options from what they currently are. If you roll them out by administrator, you should be fine. You shouldn't have to change anything. But if you want to give any roles the ability to save personal dashboards, you do need to go into that role and make the change. Yes.
All right. Next question is, when will we be able to sort the time card line item?
To sort the time card line item, to be honest with you, I don't know. That's a great question, and I can certainly take that back and look at it, but I don't know that functionality exists now. But if I can find out anything, I'll be glad to follow up with whoever submitted that question.
Adam, I'll pop in here real quick on that one, just because I believe that has been released, but I did want to ask a clarifying question to that question. If we're talking about sorting the grid based on project number or project name, things of that nature, I do believe that does exist in the version that's out today. I think it actually released in 5.0, but I think that they've continued to ask for additional improvements that may still be coming to those sort capabilities. So depending on the need, some of that might already be available in today's version.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah.
All right. Next question is, do we have to request the 5.5 upgrade, or will that be automatic? If automatic, when is that scheduled for?
Yeah, and I can't speak to this person's specific um, need, but yeah, whenever you do take that 5.5 upgrade from Deltek, you will get all those features. I don't know that that's something you probably, I would imagine, have to speak with Deltek about um, when you want to take that 5.5 upgrade. I don't know that it's automatic at this point.
Yeah, so two different, again, needing a clarification question on that one. Just, you know, if you're on premise, you have to apply those updates through the software manager, and you have to request the downloader or the installer rather through the downloads in order to get access to it. If you're in the cloud, those are scheduled, and you should be getting notifications as to when those schedules should occur. But you can also request through the online support that your environment be upgraded by opting in to predefined dates that Deltek will put out there for you. So if you're on premise, you can do it at your leisure. If you're in the cloud, you can schedule that with Deltek on preassigned dates.
All right. Couple more here. One of the dash parts. Oh, I'm sorry. One on dash parts. How can I learn how to create my own dashboards? Do you have any recordings or training offerings?
We do. We offer a dashboards training, and I'll let Jonathan chime in on this one as well. I believe it's quarterly. I don't know when the next one is, but we do have a dashport seminar that we offer, where they go all the way through the process of dash parts and dashboards, and I will also have handouts as well that accompany that training to keep you up to date with it. I know it was just updated to 5.5, so it has all the most current information in it. And yeah, if you'd like more information about when that next one is, we can certainly get it to you.
Yeah, well done, Adam. We can certainly roll with that. But you know, if there's any specifics that dashboards that are needing to be built, we do a lot of hands-on training with folks. So somebody will come in and say, "Hey, we need to design this particular dashboard," and they kind of have the predefined requirements. We can assist in getting that, and then just kind of walk you through how we went about doing that, so that way you can learn kind of on the fly on how to build out additional dashboards subsequently. So. But as far as recordings and things, Adam's right. We do have some of those things that are available and out there. And if you need more information, just let us know.
All right. And then just one last question that came in. Will the mobile app show my historical entries even if I wasn't entering them in the app?
Yeah, to be right offhand, I'm not sure what historically you'll be able to see through the mobile app. I think I would probably have to check on that and follow up with you. But yeah, I'd be glad to do that. And are we talking time cards? Are we talking exclusively time cards? You're wanting to see previous time cards?
I am not sure. But I will give you the contact's name, and we can have you follow up after the session.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. And actually, one more just came in. For the discrepancies, does that need to be turned on? Sorry if this was answered already.
Talking about dependencies there, Adam.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
dependencies.
So,
Dependencies, do they need to be turned on, or are they just automatically available?
no, they're available. Once you check out the plan, that's what gives you the ability to add dependencies to the schedule. So yeah, it is part of 5.5. There's nothing to enable in settings or anything like that. It's already there. The only catch is you have to check out the plan. You have to be able to modify the plan to be able to add them.
All right. Well, that is all of the questions that we've got today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Adam, Jonathan, thank you both for coming. Adam, thank you for presenting. Jonathan, thank you for helping with the questions. And actually, Adam, if you go to the next slide, your contact information should show. If you would like to receive a copy of today's recording, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, my name is Liz Sidney. My contact information is in the chat for reference, and I will send that to you as soon as possible. Adam and Jonathan will be in touch and following up. Also, at the end of this webinar session, there will be a survey pop-up in your browser window. Please fill that out. Your feedback is very important to us. Again, if you have any immediate questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Adam. And thank you all again for your time and for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.